You're watching Pop by Culture. This is Marvelous Monday, and tonight we're talking Captain Marvel.
So, Skrulls are the bad guys. And you're a Kree, a race of noble warriors.
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
Your life began the day it nearly ended. We found you. With no memory, we made you one of us. So you could live longer, stronger, superior. You were reborn.
I keep having these memories. Something in my past is the key to all of this.
You know how to fly this thing?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Would you like to know what you really are?
I think I had a life here. What aren't you telling me?
You've come a long way, but you're not as strong as you think. This war is just the beginning.
I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it.
Aren't you the cutest little thing?
Aren't you cute? And what's your name, huh?
Fury.
What's you? I'll be back.
Alrighty, guys. So we're going to start this conversation off the way we've started the past two conversations. I'm going to come to you and I'm going to ask, what were your thoughts revisiting Captain Marvel now a second time compared to the first time you watched it? Or if you're someone that hasn't seen this movie yet, Drew, I'll ask your opinion overall. So actually, let's go to the newbie. Let's go to the person that had his cherry popped with this film. And just real quick, Drew, what were your overall thoughts on Captain Marvel?
2 hours I'll never get back of my life that I could have spent on a treadmill or on a rowing machine or writing or helping children who are hungry. You know, it couldn't be just doing something beneficial with my life. And yeah, I don't have the highest of regards or ratings for this film. Yeah, I regret watching this. So thank you, Josh. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. It's for the love of the medium. Now, would you have liked it better if you were helping starving kids or rowing or jogging while watching it?
You know, honestly, it probably would have made me angry at some points, which could have fueled my adrenaline, which could have helped, right. You know, me going faster on a treadmill. So it's possible it could have helped. Yeah.
Nice. Now, Shield, you have seen this before. What were your thoughts compared to the first time that you watched it versus watching it again for tonight's discussion?
So I watched it earlier today, and the last time I'd seen the movie was in the theater when it first premiered. And I'll be honest, I didn't hate it as much this time as I did when I was in the theater. I think a lot of it has to do with at the time that the movie came out, there was so much media hype and buzz and you know, it's an intersectional feminist allegory and all of this other stuff going on in the media. And there were questions about the casting and how it wasn't comic book accurate. And there were so many different versions of the character in the comics that it was hard to to really to do a movie based off that character and get it so that everybody would like it. But comparing it to more modern movies, like, you know, the ones that have come out, like the newest Ant-Man or whatever, at least the CGI was good. A lot of the fight choreography was decent. Some of, you know, Samuel L. Jackson was Samuel L. Jackson. He's just doing his, you know, his acting is good. Those kinds of things.
For sure.
But to recap, I thought the movie was a little bit better than when I first saw it. Is it still an outstanding movie? No. Out of the up to Endgame movies, it's one of the weaker ones. I almost want to say it is the weakest, but it's definitely not the best. But it's not as bad as I thought it was, and I'm giving it a little bit more. I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia or something, but I don't know. It wasn't terrible. Like, I want to go jump off a cliff or something. Terrible.
Yeah, please don't jump off a cliff.
My overall problem with it is the message it's saying. Because this is, now, Josh, bear in mind, this is my first time watching it.
Right.
And this is the message I took away from watching this. It is, now give me a little leeway on this, all right? It's give into your emotions, don't think, act and behave like a spoiled, immature 4-year-old brat without any self-control. Intelligence is for idiots. Yeah, that's my takeaway from the film. That's the message.
I mean, they definitely have some of those thematic elements in there narratively, for sure. Look, it's really interesting because when this first came out, and kind of what Shield was talking about, there's so much conversation, so many conversations going on about it, even before the movie released. And so much of, oh, this is this, oh, it's that, oh, it's playing into feminism, oh, you know. And I'm very much a person that I'm gonna try to just give whatever the medium is the benefit of the doubt, see it. I believe I saw it twice, but it wasn't a matter of liking it. The reason that I saw it twice, if I know I'm going to discuss a project, I will typically see it twice. And the reason I say that is usually the first time that I see it, I go into a movie with expectations. And then sometimes I have disappointment because something doesn't live up to my expectations. Or I have a lot of hype because something exceeds my expectations. And the second time will usually kind of help me level set certain moments and whatnot. But I saw it twice back when it first came out in theaters, and I don't think I've watched it since. And then I watched it twice this past weekend just because I knew we were going to talk about it. So once just watching the movie, and then a second time watching the commentary for it to get a little bit of the behind the scenes. But I remember a lot of the discourse around the film. I remember a lot of the discourse around Brie Larson, because she was pretty much saying, if you don't like it, don't go see it, which I always think is a stupid thing to do. But I remember watching it and being like, guys, it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. The conversations around these subjects were worse than what's actually in the film, but it's not a good film. And I was thinking that I would come back and find redeeming things about this movie that I couldn't really remember. And again, I don't think it's like the worst of the worst, but it didn't really do anything to increase my enjoyment. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's there. It is what it is. That's kind of my general thoughts on it. And we'll start breaking this down in a second, but it's a movie that exists. That's kind of where my mindset is overall.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but this movie came out. It came out wedged right in between Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame. It was almost hyped as if you have to see this before you see Endgame because it's going to play a huge role.
Yeah, that was a giant lie. You could totally see
that was
this
a
movie.
Huge,
it was.
Yeah. You know, and it just, that wasn't the case. They did that to sell tickets. It worked. The movie made over $1 billion at the box office, but we really, I guess the crux of the movie is pretty much just, here is Captain Marvel. We're going back to the 90s, and we're going to give you her superhero origin story. And yeah, there you go, kids. Have fun. But I think there was a lot of expectation, not only because of Infinity War and Endgame and how like high level those were, or at least Infinity War at the time. But I think a lot of people had high expectations because they knew the Skrulls were getting introduced. They knew there was going to be a focus on the Kree. We were expecting a Skrull Kree war storyline, which I mean, I guess we got, but barely. And I think there was potential from people hoping they would get some elements of what Captain Marvel was like when she was Miss Marvel. When Carol Danvers was Miss Marvel, had like the lightning bolt outfit. Like there were some good times there, but that ended up not being the case. So let's just start kind of going through this film. A lot of my notes, it's going to be interesting because I think we're all going to have different things we nitpick on. I think Drew's going to have a lot to talk about in terms of the comics and how they did stuff. I've got a lot of just general story elements that I thought were not great. I'm going to tell you right now, I think the script is awful, and I think the directing is even worse. And I'll be interested to see what Shield kind of has to say. But they open the film and we kind of get this slow motion. We see like a shipwreck. We see a shrouded figure with a gun about to shoot somebody. It's clearly a dream. We see Brie Larson wake up and she's on a foreign planet, and she goes and she meets up with Jude Law, and we learn that his name is, I think, Valrog, and she is being called Veers. And they go through a training session. And this is the first little bit that we kind of learn about the characters. We learn that she's lost her memories. She's been on Hala, the planet Hala, for 6 years. And she's trying to piece things back together. And he's training her as a Kree soldier. And it looks like the big thing for her, as Drew kind of alluded to, maintain your emotions. Don't rely on your emotions. Just learn to fight and keep that at bay. What were your thoughts? And whoever wants to go first can go first. But what were your thoughts on this opening scene? And did you feel like it was a good introduction to the film, or did you feel like it was jarring? I'll go with Drew because Drew, this is your first time seeing it.
So I thought the opening was all right. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed the sparring session. It was great not seeing her be an absolute Mary Sue. Jude Law was really giving it to her in the training session. But so real quick, Joshy Poo, you were asking us what our favorite things in the film were. I'm going to say right out of the gate, Jude Law is the great thing in this film. I love Jude Law in this movie. He has the best part, and he should have been Captain Marvel. If they had done a story about his character and Rick Jones discovering the mega bands on Earth and they're doing body swaps, that would have been an amazing movie. Sign me up all day. I am there for that. But what we got, this is a mess. But anyway, the opening of this film, I did enjoy the sparring session. It was all right, but I was afraid instantly because as a writer, I'm thinking ahead to the end because I'm thinking what the lessons that Jude Law is teaching her, and he's right, 100% right. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, the takeaway from this is that they're going to go the complete opposite of this at the end. Give into your full-on emotions, go on full Sith, act like a spoiled, immature 4-year-old brat at a restaurant. Yeah, that's the takeaway on this. And I'm scared. And sure enough, I was right. But I'm jumping ahead. Anyway, the opening of this isn't bad. I'll say that.
Shield, did you have any thoughts on just this opening kind of introduction and training scene?
So, I mean, I ancillary knew who the character was, but I didn't know anything about like really the comics. I knew there was a long history of the character under different names and doing a bunch of different stuff all the way back to like the 70s, right? But I didn't know the details or anything. So when the movie opened, I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. This is pretty cool. It's the Hala, the Kree home planet. We're going to see like what the Kree are like. She does the training thing. Again, this is when the movie came out, it was already in the era of Everybody's a Mary Sue and a Girl Boss movie coming out. So my first thing was like, oh, she's probably going to beat the crap out of this guy or something. But she doesn't. And it's a training thing. And again, what Drew was saying, the things that he was saying to her made sense. And that's a through line throughout this movie. Except for some rare instances, most of the people that are telling her stuff, it's not crazy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Except maybe the guy on the motorcycle, like Smile Babe or whatever, that guy. But besides that, all the stuff that people are telling her are things that are not abnormal for somebody to say, right?
Right.
It's just how she is taking that and how the movie frames it into this, you're a woman, so you can't do it, as opposed
Yeah.
to, "Hey, you don't have the training for this or whatever. And but the initial sparring scene was good because it sets the dynamic of he's the teacher, he's the mentor. He knows more than she does. She doesn't really know anything. Like, she knows how to fight and stuff, but she's conflicted within herself. She's
Right.
having these nightmare dream sequences. She doesn't know why. And he is her guide, her mentor, her trainer, her superior. And I don't mean superior because he's a man, but I mean superior like he outranks her. So, it was interesting. I was kind of like, okay, where's this going to go? Right. I had no idea what was going to happen with it. So I was, fully invested in the movie, in the character. She had some like little quips and stuff, so she wasn't quite so cardboard.
Right.
So the delivery was okay. I personally think that Brie is a capable actress. It's just this probably wasn't the role for her, or
Yeah.
it wasn't the role for her the way it was written.
Agreed.
If it had
I
been
can agree
written
with that.
differently, she could have played the role much better. It's almost like the role wasn't specifically written for her to play. And I'm not saying that that's a necessity with scripts, but sometimes when you write the script to fit form the actor, it works better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because when I was watching this, she was. It felt like she was trying to do a almost Vulcan-esque approach to her, like a Mikey Spock, if you will, from a Star Trek thing, like we're kind of like a lack of emotion type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't. In my opinion, it didn't work.
Agreed.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I'm right there with you. I felt like she was trying to be stoic, and it didn't necessarily translate that way. It just kind of translated as being a little cardboard. And there's moments where she wasn't. So Shield mentioned the sparring, and when she gets knocked down, she's like, "Oh, I tripped," and I think Jude Law's like, "Oh, you tripped because I tripped you," and she's like, "No, I tripped and then you tripped me." Or I slipped and then you tripped me, something like that.
Right.
But, you
They made
had
attempts.
moments. Yeah, you had moments where it's like, okay, I can see some humanity there, but overall, I thought it was pretty lifeless. And I remember even the first time I viewed it, sitting down and seeing this opening scene, and then realizing, oh no, this is all we're gonna get of the Kree. And I was right. Like, as far as like the lore and what's going on and what's happening, like we do get a discussion about the war, but it's so just kind of like, oh, here's an exposition line to let audiences know what they need to know, and it's so surface level, and they're training, and we learn about the Supreme Intelligence, and now we're going to see the Supreme Intelligence, but it was all just such like surface level or anemic compared to what I was hoping we were going to get. And I knew at this moment that we're going to have story issues with this film, and I'm looking at it, just even these first like two scenes, and I'm like, it feels like something's missing. It feels like there should have been more here to develop a story. And then I didn't like the idea that she's practically a blank slate, because I feel like anytime you have a character that's a blank slate, it's hard to get on board with them and root for them, just because you don't know who they are. And she doesn't know who she is. And beyond that, she's not buying in completely to being a Kree soldier. Like, she wants it. She wants to go on missions, but she's not buying into this idea of being Kree and accepting Hala as this world. She's stuck in trying to figure out, where she came from and what she's lost, which is fine. But I still think there should be some element of buy-in. And this is like the first point of the film, or first point, I guess, tonight that we'll get to, where I'm like, I wish they would have approached this differently. So I'll start off by saying there is a scene that's cut from this, and it's on the deleted scenes. But before she starts sparring, so she has her dream, she wakes up. Before she goes to start sparring, you see Jude Law's character teaching a lot of young Kree, and he's teaching them about the Kree Skrull War and what happened and why they live a certain way now. And he's teaching them about the Kree and how they can shapeshift. And there's all this like really good dialogue in there saying like, you've got to be careful. And it's, I mean, is it propaganda? Like, yeah. But they're basically teaching kids like, hey, these are the dangers that you've been, shielded from your life so far. But these are real things that you need to be aware of, because these people want to kill us. They're trying to kill us. And they're trying to kill us because we are helping protect other planets and worlds and whatever.
Know your enemy. It could be you. Be alert. The Skrulls can sim anyone.
How long has the Kree Skrull War been going on? Thousands of years, and yet still the Skrull plague is ever present. One of you could be a Skrull and we wouldn't know it. Is it you? Are you a Skrull? What about you? You sure you're not a Skrull? As the strongest remaining empire, we proudly defend not just ourselves, but every nation too weak to fight.
How do we know you're not a Skrull, Commander?
There's no greater example of Kree potential than the mighty Veers.
The Commander's right about the Skrulls. They took everything from me. My home, my family, my memory. Our leader, the Supreme Intelligence, saved me, gave me purpose in this implant, so I can fight back.
Did it hurt?
No.
What's the Supreme Intelligence like?
So vast, our minds can't even comprehend its true image. So when we commune with the Supreme Intelligence, it appears to each of us as a unique virtual form, as the person we respect and admire above all others.
So you see yourself, huh?
Who do you see?
Everyone back to work. Dreams again.
Want to fight?
I slipped.
And I'm like, man,
That's
if
great.
they would,
I would have loved to
yeah.
have seen that. Holy crap.
Oh,
Well,
if they
one of
would
the
have,
things that they fail to do in the entire movie is explain the importance of the Supreme Intelligence
Mhm.
to their culture and to the
Mhm.
functioning of their society. And why is it there? Has it always been there? Is it put there because of what's the reason behind it? In the movie, it's just, well, it's this evil entity that wants to control everybody, and it's basically there to torment Carol Danvers. It's not. They don't show it like what it does. Like, does it?
right.
Which in the subsequent movie, the Marvels or whatever it's called, when the repercussions for her destroying it are shown, it doesn't make it clear the impact that this thing has on their society. I guess, is it necessarily super important that you show that? Maybe not, but it would have been nice if they would have shown like this is what it controls and what it functions.
Yeah.
Because I mean, basically, if you destroy it, you're telling me they have no other communication networks or infrastructure, or it's going to totally collapse their society. I didn't get that impression of
Yeah.
it when she was fighting. I thought it was just like the military chain of command thing or something. But it's to me, it's like it's more of an allegory,
Yeah.
than an actual like entity that is threatening.
Right.
Well,
It-
it,
it's
it, it shows just how many different subplots that they had in this film that they were trying to focus on, and that just happened to be subplot number 57 that they forgot to show the importance of.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm
Yeah.
just saying, me personally, I would have liked to see more emphasis on how important this thing is.
No, I
as
agree.
opposed
Absolutely.
to it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, I can live with the fact, okay, it's just this thing and it's there for you to be in conflict with her,
But
and it's
he's the
controlling
supreme
everything.
intelligence. He's
Right,
the
right.
yeah.
And
Right.
and that's the other thing, that it's not a person, it's an AI basically. So it's controlling our entire society. So it doesn't, in your mind when you go in it, you see it pulls something out of your memory to represent itself, to give it a form that you can interact with. So it's different for everybody. So I to me, it just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay, but I think they could have put a little more emphasis on how important it was to their society.
Oh, absolutely. And just the purpose that it played. If we had had a better understanding of the relevancy of it, it would have played a bigger part when we reached to the end of the film. But we never got that set up. And the whole thing of, I guess, overcoming the supreme intelligence, which we'll talk about later at the end, was more so just about Carol's character, not, what this entity serves as for the greater.
Right. Let me put it in these terms. It was no Borg queen.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I would rather done with that, honestly.
But yeah, there was this whole scene that did get cut that kind of goes into more detail explaining all this right up front early on. And I was like, I don't understand why this got cut. This should have been in the film. It's part of the reason why I watched the commentary for my second viewing, because I wanted to get some insight, and I did get some insight.
What was that like? I got to know.
I'm not. Oh, the commentary. Oh man, it's, you know what? We'll get there as I start revealing some of the stuff that the director said, because it was the directors and they have co-writing credits, but they're also the directors.
So you got a little bit more behind the curtain kind of look.
Yeah, and a lot of what I did not care for in this film was very clearly decisions from them, and they hadn't done big blockbusters leading up to this, so it was like, all right, this
I don't know their names. I've never.
So you're saying it was less of the Professor Oz guy, moving a bunch of cranks and levers, and it was more like flying monkeys back there behind the curtain.
Yeah. So the directors are Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and they've mostly done like indie, very small type projects. And they've never worked on a blockbuster. And the other writing credit is Geneva Robertson.
So how did they pull this gig?
That was kind of like, and this is one of the things that Marvel's done kind of in this back half, is they're finding all these talent that have done small films that look like they have potential, and they're throwing them on a major motion picture, and it's just clear that they're not ready for this.
Right. And that's, why are they doing that? But yet they don't want to take risks with any new content.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give your flagship movie franchise to all of these people that have come off of indie films or have done like documentaries and stuff. They don't have a background. They take it as a badge of honor that they've never read the comic books or don't really know anything about the story. And I guess their point is that, well, that way when we write the story and we direct, and it'll be our vision, and we won't be influenced by that. But you have to be influenced by that, because those are characters that have been around for decades. You just can't make them up new. If you want to do that, make up new characters in a new franchise, but see, nobody wants to support that because it's too risky. But to me, putting these people in charge of this movie is a risk that they didn't understand. They thought they could do it, but apparently it wasn't. How much better do you think this movie would have been if they put people on it that had already done big projects, that knew the material? And I don't know if they knew the material or not, but it kind of seems like they didn't.
Well, the problem, Shield, is that okay. So we'll go ahead and talk about the comics here. The character itself, the character has been pretty much a mess since the conception. Yeah, Josh understands. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. Like constant retcons, new names, new powers. They've never really had a firm grasp of really what to do with the character. But really, and I really think if you ask the true fans, the real fans, not the ones from 15 years ago, they will tell you the best stories involving Carol Danvers were the Miss Marvel years from the early 2000s, written by Brian Reed. You had art by Aaron Lopresti, Greg Horn, Frank Cho, great stuff. And before that, you had the legendary issue that Avengers Annual, where we discover the Captain Carol trying to kill herself from the Golden Gate Bridge. fantastic issue. And those are really the two benchmarks. Anything before and after that has been, she had moments in the X-Men, but she was binary. She's just been a mess. And I think they really saw that as, okay, we can really do whatever the hell we want because there really is no firm backstory for the character other than her name is Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, it just, and I mean, I don't know how capable the directors and the writers are and stuff. It just seems like that. I mean, and it's Marvel's prerogative if they want to put these people in charge of these things. But you could say it was a success. The movie made $1 billion, but look at the damage it did to the franchise. And this by itself in a vacuum, it would have just been like, okay, it was for most people that are fans, it wasn't that good of a movie, but it made them a lot of money, right? And if then they would have had a Endgame and then like another Avengers kind of movie come out, and like a Winter Soldier after that, another Winter Soldier level of movie, everything would have been smooth sailing. But it was like this, and then it was just worse movie after worse movie after worse movie after that, that followed the same pattern. And somehow the budgets went up and the quality went down.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'll end up slowly revealing more things that were either deleted scenes and I'll eventually get to comments that were made about why they did certain things. But I kind of want to hold.
I'll say there really wasn't one big thing about this film that was wrong. It's just I call this death by 1,000 paper cuts. A bunch of small things really hurt this film.
Yep. I mean, and this is kind of even this just starting off here, like the fact that we really don't get a good idea of Hala, the Kree race, or what the Supreme Intelligence is, that already sets us up on unlevel footing. And then the fact that I mentioned, Carol's character or Veers at this point is kind of a blank slate, and she's already caught up in what she's forgotten. I wish they would have just started this, like spend a good 15 to 20 minutes just really establishing Hala, the Kree, but have her be like, I'm a go-getter. I'm all for this. These people saved my life. I'm pro Kree, and I know that there's stuff missing, but I trust these people because they've done nothing but help me. And if they would have had her on that track until a few scenes later when the Skrulls get a hold of her, I think we would have had a much better foundation to start this film with.
Well, the other thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, is she at this point thinks she's Kree, right? She doesn't
does she?
know. Yeah, I think she does. She doesn't know that she's not a human.
She knows she had a blood transfusion. I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if she knows she is completely Kree, but I know
the impression that I got is that she thought that she was Kree, and that she had just like something had happened to her or whatever. They never really made it clear.
They really did.
It's kind of like what I got out of it. And the other thing, we were talking about how she was like jokey, but then kind of like trying to play it like Spock. And I think that's the other thing where they wanted her to have humor, but also she was playing it very straight. Yeah. And they should have just picked one or the other. Mm-hmm. And then let somebody else be the straight person or the comedy.
Yeah.
And they could have, but Samuel L. Jackson, you can't really have him be the comedy guy, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they would have had to have somebody else.
I feel like it's one of those weird things where like you could have had both with Brie. Like you could have had the comedy and you could have had the straight, like, stoic character, but just choose when she's showing those elements of who she is. So if she's with Jude, let her be lighthearted. Let her be kind of, because you can tell there's a trust there. She clearly trusts his character. And then when she's with everyone else or going on missions, then she's like, all right, it's game time. No joking around. This is the mission. Let's go. And speaking of missions, let's go ahead and move on to what I think is probably my favorite scene is when they go to do the rescue mission on the planet. You got the Starfleet, so you get introduced to some of the other Kree characters. You see Jaime and Hansu, you see Minerva. They kind of get introduced, and they go on this rescue mission on this planet that's supposed to be like relatively peaceful, like scavenger type aliens. And then it turns out that's not the case. It's an ambush of the Skrulls.
Veers, track Solar's beacon. Atlas, Minerva, find elevation.
Locals on the periphery. Maybe a dozen.
Minerva?
Do you read me? Does anybody copy?
Repeat.
This beacon's coming from that temple. Let's move.
No. This is a perfect spot for an ambush. Only one way in, only one way out. We can get past the locals. We don't know if they are locals. Too risky.
You don't have to go with me. I'll go alone.
No, you won't. Right. We keep a close radius. We lose comms. We meet back at the Helion. Come on.
Atlas, you getting this?
Copy. I see them.
Get back!
Amanda?
Back. Back! Minerva, do you have eyes on this? Keep them back. Minerva!
Does anybody copy?
I don't want to hurt you. Keep back!
Start their damn bike!
Stay back!
They're locals. I found 2 dead. No green. They're just starving.
HGX 78.
TRT 79, PVX6.
Get back!
Back to the Helion!
How did you know the code?
How about I tell you my secret? when you told me yours.
I thought this scene was actually really good, and I wanted more of the scene.
I couldn't see. I'll say it was too damn dark. I could not
That's
see
fair.
crap. Maybe it was my TV. Maybe was it always like that? But maybe it's just me because I'm getting older. But I was like, what is going on? I couldn't see crap.
Yeah, I mean, it is dark.
I do agree with you, Josh. I thought that was probably the best choreographed, most interesting, exciting. I think you would have maybe thought the same thing, Drew, if you could have seen it. but it was pretty cool. They had like this sniper rifle that the bullet could jump between people and stuff, and good comms, and the fighting. They were like flipping people and doing all kinds of like kung fu moves and stuff. And honestly, if the whole movie would have just been kind of like that, it would have been a lot more fun.
Oh yeah.
But and so yeah, the choreography was good. The the setup, all that, the camera work was fine. It was very dark. It was very dark and very purple.
Yes.
But that was the aesthetic they were going for, I think. But yeah, if you didn't pay attention, you'd be like, okay, who are these aliens and why are we here? But
Right.
it doesn't really matter. They're just there to get slaughtered anyway.
Oh yeah.
But so slowly through these scenes and a few others, they start really showing like how brutal the Kree are, as far as how they deal with planets that they don't like.
Right.
But this part of the movie was decent. Like I this up to this point when I was in the theater, I was still totally invested. I'm like, okay, where's this going to go?
Same.
I'm
and
like,
that's
cool. There's something going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that so far all the characters look like they're bonding. They're like part of a team. And they got like, they got the big dude that's got the power hands, and then they got what's his name with the swords.
Yep.
And then you got the other guy with the two pistols, and he's kind of like the infiltrator dude. And then you got Minerva with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And then you got the leader. Man, what's that guy's name?
Balrock.
No, Jan Rog.
Jan Rog. That's
Jude Law's character's
Yep.
name. Yeah. And then you got Korath, and let's see.
I couldn't remember the names. I'm going to be honest. I remember Minerva and.
Yeah, you got Minerva, and that's about all they
Jan
show
Rog.
on this casting thing.
Yeah.
David Coulson, who I think should have been in the movie like way more.
Oh, agreed. Well, that's going to become a recurring theme. So this is another area where we had deleted scenes. So there is deleted scenes with this crew on the ship before they reach the planet, really kind of strategizing how they're going to go in. Some of the like intel they've gotten. It was a little more like military prone. They did throw in a few jokes because it's kind of like the gallows humor of soldiers, and it was one of those things. Yeah, some of that wasn't introduced or executed very well, but it still kind of helped shape who these people are. And I wish they would have kept that in. But they also said that they had roughly like an additional 5 to 10 minutes just of this fight, this battle on this planet that I wish would have stayed in.
Exactly. And I'll say this, in Endgame, the final fight, that thing needed to be at least 10 minutes longer, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
It would have been way cooler to see like each character have more time fighting and doing cool stuff,
Yeah. But the big key of this scene is really kind of to introduce the Skrulls. So we get to this planet. They're going to the Starfleet, which the directors described as these guys are totally SEAL Team 6 for the Kree. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go.
I kind of got that feeling. Like, they were a special strike unit.
Special forces. Yeah.
Because when you talk about the what are the other guys? Hold on. What's his name? The guy that plays Ronan. What are those guys called? The
accusers.
Accusers, right? Yeah. That's it. So those are just like the guys that come and wipe out your planet, and these guys are the strike team you send in to if you don't want to wipe out the planet.
Right.
basically.
Yeah. If you're trying to do something that's a little more
Mhm.
specific. So this was
Yeah.
intended to be a rescue mission. It turns out it's an ambush from the Skrulls. They're attacking them. We get to see our first. I love the reveal of these guys being Skrulls because Minerva's about to shoot somebody, and then you see one of her comrades come up, and he's like, no, they're locals. They're just hungry, wanting food. So she pulls off from shooting them, but then in her scope, she sees the real guy who she's actually talking to run down and pull his guns, draw his guns, and then she's like, "Oh shit, it's a Skrull." So she shoots him, and we get to see him transform into a dead Skrull body. And this is the one thing that I picked up that I thought was really interesting, and I was like, "All right, this was a good play." But when they started discussing how they wanted the Skrulls to transform and what they wanted it to look like and how should they make it look, and they specifically talked about how they did morphing in like X-Men, and they didn't want to do that. So I think it was a type of like octopus or jellyfish, and the way that their body will change when hit. I think it's an octopus or a squid. When you kill it, it'll lose the color in its body, so it'll just turn completely white. But they took that as a means for how the skin would change, and I thought that was kind of cool. But that we get the introduction to the Skrulls here, and it ends up leading to Veers getting kidnapped as the rest of the Starfleet retreats.
That's because the entire all of the aliens on that planet were Skrulls.
Yes,
like they were all disguised, and so they wind up capturing her.
Yeah. Now she gets captured. The next thing we see is like a collage of memories. You hear the very distinct Ben Mendelsohn voice in the background saying stuff. For me, I thought this was like just odd. The whole thing, I was like, what the hell's going on? And I get that that's kind of what they were going for, but I don't think it worked in the way they wanted it to work.
Well, I don't understand why every memory she had was some dude telling her she couldn't do something.
That's the message of the film.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's right then I was like, wait, what is this? So you're telling me that every memory that they're going through is going to be this of some guy being a dick to her.
You knew what to call it a cockpit.
and well, okay, and I get that, but and you're talking mid 80s, right? While women are trying to break into the fighter pilot world, that is something that she would have experienced for sure. But I'm talking about like her dad and her brother saying, "Hey, don't go so fast." But what happens? She wrecks out.
Yep.
Right? She flips the thing. I mean, the moral of the story is, I got back up, but in real life, she would have broke her arm or something. And then, she's her dad's at the beach and telling her no. And what happens? She falls down there, and she's on the ropes at the Air Force Academy, and they're like, "You're too weak, you can't do it," and she falls down there. So, why they went to these particular memories, right? I guess they were something important in her life, or they were trying to focus in on her past things. But why they went to that, right? And also, people that were telling her that stuff, well, it was real, it was true. She did wreck out, she did fall. I get the point is that she got back up, but I don't know. That's when I was like, oh, what's this? Is this message in the movie? And 2019, we still weren't really, it wasn't like in every movie yet. So I was kind of like, okay. And then some of the music selections that they had, I was just like, all right. Some of it fit, but some of it didn't.
Yeah, some of it definitely didn't.
Especially if you're talking about the year that it was. And then what music they were playing. I was like, Nirvana hadn't even come out. I mean, they were a band in '89, but they didn't have any of the songs yet. We'll get to that later.
Is that when the movie takes place on Earth, 1989?
The movie takes place in 95, I think.
95.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's 6 years. Yeah. So she crashes the experimental jet in '89 with Marvell or whatever. And that's when the whole thing, and then the Kree kidnap her, and then 6 years have taken place. So it's like 95 into 96 when they come to Earth, or C-35 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so everything that's pre-Kree, pre-crash is all 80s, and the only thing that's on Earth in the 90s is when she comes back to Earth.
Now, in her memories, when she's on the beach and when she wrecks the go-kart, that might be in the 70s because she kind of had like this little bell-bottom jumpsuit thing on.
Yep.
But it was probably like 79 or 80.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped. They're running through her mind. I know this is. I think the comics refers to it as simming. The directors called it mind fracking. You know, I don't know. It was just really weird.
So they got her upside down in this like thing with blue light coming in her temples, and what they're looking for is information about this scientist that she used to work with. That that is apparently such a high-ranking scientist. They can just have a cat out on the flight line and all kinds of stuff. So I was like, okay, but she works on this Pegasus project, and they're trying to. So during the like mind probe sequence, they can cause her to repeat certain memories over and over again, and then she would like say the same line, but then look in a different direction. Or like make her look down, or make her look up, or focus in on that. And then they finally find the information that they want. And of course, she then becomes aware of what's happening, and she can hear him in the background. And she's got her hands in these like metal cup things that are holding her, and they won't allow her to use her powers. Oh, that's the other thing, is that she has this thing on her neck that the AI put on there that is like controlling her power. I don't know. Maybe that's the patriarchy or something.
Well, yeah,
is what it's supposed to be.
So which I didn't feel like they described that the device on her neck very well. They tell her that the reason she has powers is because of that device, and that the Supreme Intelligence gave her those powers.
Right. Yes, and that she needs to control her emotions in order to control it.
Yeah.
For them to allow her to use the power, because if she just runs wild, then she'll destroy everything.
Right.
So.
But the reality is it's dampening her power so they can try to control her. Like it's definitely a patriarchy type,
But how did she not blow her hands off in those gauntlets later when she's trying to escape? I don't understand that. I'm like, how is she not? How are her hands still there? Never mind.
I didn't really. I mean, I was willing to let that go. I was like, whatever. She has these powers and can fly and breathe in space. So what's a couple of cups in her hand blowing up?
Fair. That's fair.
I just like I went with that, but
they're like, you're suspending your disbelief to believe that this chick can fly and blast shit, but you're not going to suspend it.
Right. She can't hold these things. I mean, I get what you're saying though, Drew, but she busts out of this thing and she starts beating the crap out of these dudes. And I was totally cool with that because she's had all this Kree combat training and she has got like, enhanced strength due to her powers or whatever. So I was like, fine. It's not like, she's like a regular person with no training doing it.
I did not care for this scene. I was not a fan. Again, this is one of those scenes where I thought the music was a little off and didn't fully like land well. But also, I didn't like the action.
They were playing Elastica in that.
I can't even remember.
I believe. Which.
Yeah, I just remember this is one of the moments where the music sounded distracting versus aiding to the story. But I didn't like the fight scene. I didn't like her with the cups trying to hit people and stuff. I felt like it made the choreography look a little weird. And then you have the whole element with the Kree that like growls and then she pulls the whole which
it's been mean to death.
Yeah, which I felt was out of character. But guess what? That wasn't even in the script. That was literally one take, and the director's like, "Hey, what'd be fun is when he growls, you just right back at him. That'd be funny. Let's just do it." And guess what? They kept it for the film. So
used as a meme for years afterwards.
But yes, she escapes. She gets in a pod. She flees, and this pod takes her all the way down to where? Earth. And what does she do? She crash lands into a blockbuster because hey, 90s.
Right, and that was how you knew that it was the 90s because Blockbuster is. For those of you who don't know, kids, Blockbuster is no longer around.
No, there's one. There's
one. A little fun fact, Josh. A little fun fact about Blockbuster is that in the late 90s they partnered, Am I still here? Did I cut out?
No, you're here.
No, you're here.
Oh, I'm still here? Okay. Sorry. A little fun fact is that in the late 90s, they had partnered with Enron to do video on demand. They were going to be on the cusp. They were going to be the first ones to do video on demand, but it didn't work. The technology wasn't there. Didn't work at the time. And they were the precursor to Netflix. And then, they could have,
Wasn't there a big Enron scandal too?
Oh, yes. Yes. On top of that. On top of that, cooking the books. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, she lands on Earth. We get this, fun kind of blockbuster moment. Like, I was fine with it. If you're gonna show the 90s, I think blockbusters are a great way to convey that. And it, for me, it was kind of brought back memories of Friday nights being like, Mom, Dad, can I go run a movie? And then like I'm pissing my parents off because I'm spending like 45 minutes to an hour plus just like scoping to see what I want to get.
And what's there? I hope it's still there. If it's not sold out
too.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And then if you were lucky, you knew somebody that worked there, and they'd hold it for you.
Yeah.
And also, you having to rewind your tape, or you get the rewind fee.
Yeah. Be kind, please rewind.
Yeah. I mean, they had a rewind machine back there. They had like 5 of them.
Those jerks. But yeah, you get that, and then this is where we kind of start moving into the second act of the story. Now, I will say, earlier I mentioned the scenes that were cut, and there is a reason why they got cut. Well, the reason is, quote, we really just didn't want to bog ourselves down with story. We wanted to get to Earth because we knew we were going to have a lot of fun on Earth.
Well, you know what? Earth is where it falls apart.
Yeah,
really
that's
is.
where most of the stuff wrong with the movie happens.
Oh, man. So this is also where we get introduced into a younger Samuel L. Jackson, a younger Phil Coulson, and we get our first glimpse of Ben Mendelsohn as the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. They do nothing in this moment to clarify that Ben Mendelsohn is the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. You just see him for a split second. And I'll be honest, the first time that I saw this, I thought it was Phil Coulson, and then they just cut and showed Phil Coulson again. But no, you got Ben in a shot, and then you get to see some of the others.
Real quick about Phil Coulson. This is the first time I noticed like there's something off the CGI because he had a busted hairline in several of the scenes. Like it felt like it wasn't consistent. Like, okay, he's got a decent head of hair there. It's like, oh, okay, it's receding. Like, what is going on here? So I think the CGI artists couldn't keep it quite right, consistent.
I mean,
possible.
I when I saw him, I was like, oh, cool. We're gonna see Coulson. We're gonna see him do some stuff, and then they don't really do anything with him.
He doesn't even say anything.
I know, considering how integral he is to the entire franchise.
Yep.
And I'm just talking about in Avengers alone. Just that.
True. Yeah.
He's such a likable character. And here's the thing. So people will be like, well, Captain Marvel wasn't likable. And people will be like, well, what do you mean likable? Well, there are a lot of characters that are kind of not nice people that are still likable. Look at Iron Man. He runs around and does kind of whatever he wants. And there's certain people that would be like, well, if he was anybody other than Tony Stark, they wouldn't be likable. Right, with the things that they do, but they're likable because of the way that they carry themselves and the character is. And
he's got charisma.
Exactly.
I mean, and charisma goes a long way.
And he has flaws.
Right.
And he has flaws.
And Phil Coulson has an ideology that really kind of he almost is the audience in a way, which I think is why people like him so much.
Hey, rookie, go talk to the rent-a-cop. Right now, talking to dispatch. Did you call this in?
Beacon activated.
Excuse me, miss. You know anything about a lady blowing a hole through the roof of that Blockbuster over there? Witness says she was dressed for laser tag.
Oh. Yeah, I think she went that way.
I'd like to ask you some questions. Maybe give you the 411 on the late night drop box. Could I see some identification, please?
Veers, Kree Star Force. We don't carry our identification on little cards.
Veers, Star Force. How long you plan to be in town?
Oh, I'll be out of your hair as soon as I track down the Skrulls that are infiltrating your planet.
Skrulls?
Shapeshifters. They can transform into any life form down to the DNA. Oh boy, you guys don't have any clue, do you?
Whoa, hold on. How do we know you're not one of those shapeshifters?
Congratulations, Agent Fury. You have finally asked a relevant question.
Oh, congratulations to you, Star Force lady. You're under arrest.
Yeah, we get introduced to these characters, and again, like, they end up not doing it. The fact that they didn't take advantage of a lot of these characters is on full display here. Like, they don't utilize Djimon Hounsou's character, who we get to see in Guardians of the Galaxy. They don't really do anything with Phil Coulson. They don't do anything with Ronan. Like, it was all just kind of like, they're here for the sake of saying they're here and being like, isn't this cool? But they serve no purpose. But this is where Fury gets to meet Veers, Captain Marvel.
Well, real quick,
and
let's talk about the security guard and how enthused he is to do his job. That guy just sits in the car the entire time.
Best actor. He's the only one who knew what he was doing.
And then, and she's like, "Are you in charge of security?" He's like, "Well, pretty much, but the theater has their own guy."
Yeah. So, fun story about this guy. He's actually, or I don't know if he still is, but he was head of Marvel security for their productions and stuff. So they just pulled him in and used him to act.
Yeah, he didn't. He probably wasn't acting at all.
Yeah,
it's like, this is what I do.
Yeah, I thought that was fun when I learned that. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. I'll take that. But right away, I can say I already don't like the relationship between Veers and Fury, because I feel like they're both just way too trusting of each other. Because he's kind of, I mean, even though, I don't know, it's just a weird situation. I didn't feel like this was a federal agent or a spy dealing with someone that just dropped down, through the roof of a blockbuster where they have no like spaceship or anything to like. It just seemed like they were way too chummy to be like, oh, hey, let's talk to you. I didn't like the way this went about, and this is going to be a recurring thing throughout the film.
She's using to like hook up to the telephone.
Yeah,
like he walks up, she's still got that thing kind of wired up.
Yeah.
So
like no questions. It's all too much of a mall cop being like, hey kid, what are you doing over here? Causing problems? Are you up to some shenanigans? And I'm like, you're a spy, you're a federal agent, and this is someone that's clearly not from here and has tech well beyond them, what we would have on Earth at this time. And it's like there's no kind of there's no like reference or observation of that at all. The only thing that kind of allows them to be like, oh, we should listen to this person or take this more seriously is when one of the Skrulls try to shoot him and then she blasts at the Skrull. But even then, the line is throwaway line of, did you see a weapon? Nope. Or I did not. And I'm like, oh okay. But that leads to the train scene.
Suspect on northbound train in pursuit.
fresh meat, believer.
And Kelly Sue, we get introduced to Kelly Sue
God.
walking by her. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Yeah, that's when they go to exit the.
No, Kelly Sue
No.
DeConnick is she's the overweight woman with the bad hair dye job walking by her, staring her down in the train station, whatever.
Would she have glasses on?
Yes.
Yeah, she's got black and red hair. She's got glasses, and she's like she's just one of those walking by. But yeah, even before we get to that, you've got Carol chasing the Skrull, trying to stop him. There's a little bit of an action scene because at first the Skrull's looking like he looks like a surfer, and then when getting on the train, he passes by an old lady, so he ends up transforming into the old lady. I felt like film-wise, they made this all too heavy-handed and way too obvious because when Carol's running up, she physically runs into the old lady, so the camera makes a point to show you old lady. And I hated this because one of the things that I love about the Skrulls is you never know who they are. You don't know if they're next to you. You don't know if it's the person at the end of the train. You don't know these things, and it creates a sense of suspense that this movie completely annihilates because they make everything so obvious. So for me, this was obvious. Some of the fights on the train with her jumping as an old lady were kind of cool, but I thought it was stupid that people were trying to pull Carol off of her because she's doing flips, she's kicking Carol, she's clearly not a normal old lady. It just, for me, this didn't work.
Chase scene to have a chase scene. Yeah, I wasn't impressed either. I wasn't laughing. And like you said, yeah, they made it way too blatantly obvious and easy to spot out the Skrulls. It's I really think that was there for little kids. To do that, clearly it's not for adults. I think for a child who's probably 7, 8, or 9, it was for them to recognize, that's a Skrull, mommy, that's a Skrull. She just saw her.
Or your average 25-year-old these days.
Okay.
I get your point. It was made so that people in the audience could easily pick up, that's how she knew. Because the old lady walked past her and then she sees the old lady on the train, and then that was kind of a little shocking. Wait, she's gonna punch this old lady in the face.
Yeah.
And then the reaction from the other passengers, it kind of made sense, I guess. But
yeah, the initial punch completely made sense. Can you imagine how shocking that moment would have been though if they hadn't telegraphed that this old lady is the Skrull's about to turn into her?
Right.
You'd be oh shit.
In the theater, I missed that part where she's walking through the station. Maybe I was eating popcorn or something. So then when she did, I was like, oh, okay, that's a Skrull. And then, but by that point in the movie, I was like, nah, I really don't care how she figured it out. And then, then Coulson calls Fury, and then the Skrull sitting in his car looks like Coulson. So he wrecks the car out and somehow kills him in the wreck. Are Skrulls supposed to be physically stronger than your average human?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree.
That's what I mean. They're not like Superman strong or anything, but
Right.
on average, they're stronger and tougher than a regular human.
Yes.
Of the same build.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's the one thing that this show did well. But do you remember that episode in Secret Invasion where that Skrulls getting interrogated and that like butcher shop?
Oh, with what's her name, Olivia Colman?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean the best part of the whole show?
The best part of the whole show. That kind of showed to a degree that they are stronger, but not like Superman strength.
Right. Yeah.
I think he broke out of like handcuffs or something. But yeah. So it's there. I don't know. But I felt like in general, this is again on the directing. Whenever you needed to have like people reacting, meaning like extras reacting, I didn't feel like they delivered that well because part of this. It kind of came across as like high school play, not like, okay, here's an actual film with quality actors and quality directors. But even when she's getting off the train and we get to see the whole like Kelly Sue DeSconnick and people are looking at her, like you can tell the directors told these, stand-in actors like, oh, hey, give her a look, but didn't really like, there's no other reaction. It's just like oh, I'm just going to turn my head and look at you kind of weird, but there's no physical reaction to there's this woman in a space uniform. Maybe it's because it's LA. I don't know.
That's probably why they were going for that. Because come on, honestly, if you saw somebody wearing that these days in LA, would you even question it? That'd be the least of your worries, right? Someone isn't wearing like a rabbit costume with a big, or whatever.
We're used to seeing furries walk through Los Angeles.
Exactly. Yeah, we're all kinds of crazy.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So, but even back in the 90s, you wouldn't have batted an eye. I did like one thing in that scene. There was a guy walking and he had a Walkman, like a yellow Walkman on his belt with the headphones. I was like, all right, that's a good callback.
Yeah. The Walkman.
Heck yeah, but it was a nice one. It was like one of these like waterproof jobs that they used to have. Those were expensive back in the day.
Oh yeah. But Shield, to your point with Fury and Coulson and finding out that that's not really Coulson, I thought that was actually a good moment. I liked the play of that because when you realize it's slightly unsettling for a second when you're like, oh crap, that's not Coulson with Fury, and then the car accident happens and it kills the Skrull. I thought it was weird that Fury just threw a jacket on it and then like got out. No one runs up to be like, oh my God, are you okay? They've got the like, oh, this is official Shield business. Like that's it. But there's literally no one around.
He threw the jacket on so that people like walking by wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so I was okay with that part. And then, he's got like its official Shield business. Like, but wait a second, isn't Shield supposed to be a secret organization?
Yes.
Like anybody doesn't know most people don't know what Shield is anyway. They all got to be explained.
Yes.
Yep.
Just say federal. You should have just said federal agents.
Yeah.
Like
this is official government business. Like something. Yeah, that and this is not the first time that's a problem in this film either.
Or in the franchise, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This leads to the autopsy scene of the Skrull, where they're back at like Shield headquarters or one of the Shield bases, I guess you can say. And you've got Fury, you've got the doctor that's there cutting the Skrull open, and then you have Ben Mendelsohn's character. And again, like telegraphed, just whatever anticipation you may have had of like, oh shit, when they reveal that he's a Skrull later, like you already knew because Ben Mendelsohn has such a distinct voice. You've heard him talking as a Skrull for 2 scenes. You have him talking here. Like it's clear it's the same person. And then to make it even worse, they go with that heavy-handed, like when Fury exits and he gets down and he's like rubbing the head of the Skrull, being like, I will avenge you, brother, or whatever the hell, or whatever he says.
Basically what he said.
Yeah, it's just like, we're writing this for a bunch of 4-year-olds, and
yes,
you're taking the best thing about the Skrulls completely out of the story. Like you're taking the suspense and the who can we trust or who can we not trust, and you're just making it blatantly obvious. And that's one of the things that kept making me mad.
Wow.
They're ugly bastards, aren't they?
Yeah, well, he's no Brad Pitt, sir.
Safe journey to the beyond, my friend. I will finish what we started.
I wouldn't get too close there, boss.
No one in or out.
Well, I think that their intention was to kind of rush to the point where, oh, look, the Skrulls aren't the bad guys.
I hate that. Hate it.
Yeah.
It just so as a comic book fan and enthusiast, the Skrulls from beginning to now, they have always been the bad guy. Always been it. And going as far back as the Fantastic Four to now, to whatever Bendis did, yeah, they've always been the bad guy in disguise, the bad guy in waiting. And to make it to include now subplot number 42 in this film, where they are an illegal immigration allegory, it's like, no, don't do that shit with the Skrulls. Whatever happened to just a bad guy being a bad guy? Just have them be the bad guy. I mean, because that's who they are. And I know they're thinking like, oh, it's gonna make it more complicated. It's misunderstood. No, stop that shit. Sometimes a bad guy is just a bad guy.
Yeah. And you can have two bad guys. Like that's the
yeah.
You can have the Skrulls be bad guys, and you can still have the Kree turn out to be terrible people. Like they can, two things can be true at the same time. But yeah, I was really disappointed with I felt like the Skrulls were getting wasted. From
absolutely
what they should have been and need to be.
They were nerfed, absolutely nerfed.
But we get a couple more scenes kind of moving forward. Like Carol's kind of trying to acclimate to Earth. She realizes she needs to change her clothes. We have the whole motorcycle guy being like, "Oh, hey, babe, why don't you smile?" She steals clothes. She steals his motorcycle. She drives off. Like, okay, again, it happened. But she ends up going to Poncho's bar because some of the information and intel that she's found or memories that she has, she remembers this bar, which is near the Air Force base. So she goes there and she's trying to figure out who she is. And I think she's trying to track down Maria Rambo, I believe.
Right. Also, don't forget, she uses like an internet thing in an internet cafe.
Oh, yeah.
They were
which is
everywhere in 95.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
they weren't.
A lot of people get in trouble. Huh?
I was going to say, I don't really recall that in 1995.
In LA, maybe. Like the heart of LA, heart of New York City, maybe. But just little whatever town she was in, no.
Oh, yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I mean, the internet cafe was in LA. So,
was it? Okay,
yeah,
so
because she was still, she was still in LA at the time. Now, I moved to Los Angeles in 2007, and there were still internet cafes even in 2007. But people were constantly getting in trouble there for, doing some nasty up in there.
Now they're doing it in the libraries.
They weren't. Yeah, trust me, they weren't doing that in 95.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she gets to Poncho's bar. She's looking for answers. The bartender's there. She's pretty direct and like trying to get information. And then you hear Coulson from the back go, "That's classified." And this is the one time that Coulson actually felt like a real freaking agent in this entire movie. And I was like, "Hey."
Are you Coulson or
I mean,
Fury?
Sorry, Fury.
Yeah.
My bad, Fury. Coulson, we don't see again.
I was like, "Are you watching another? Or is that another cut scene?"
No, it's just me with names mixed up.
Right.
But Fury comes out. It's the most agent thing he does in this entire film. And we proceed to have a conversation where they're like, how do I know you're not a Skrull? And they're each sharing stuff that neither one of them would know if it's true or not anyways. And then you get this whole stupid, I can't eat toast when it's cut diagonally. It's just
none of that made any sense. Why?
None.
Nothing that he told her she would know. So he's like, say something that a Skrull wouldn't know to make up. Eat toast. It's like, what?
But it's funny. Aren't you laughing?
And that this is exactly where I'm going. So on the commentary, they on the scene in particular, they blatantly were like, Yeah, Sam and Bree had already done 2 films together, and they have a really fun dynamic, and we just wanted to catch that fun dynamic. So we knew we didn't really have to, build that repertoire between them, but we wanted to just write some stuff so they could be themselves and have fun. But that's the problem. They're not themselves. They're 2 characters, and you're not writing these 2 actors. You're writing 2 characters that these actors are then going to play.
What 2 movies did they do together?
It's
this?
2 indies. I don't
Yeah.
couldn't even
Oh,
tell
okay,
you.
okay.
But because actually Sam Jackson, I think, is part of the reason Brie got cast as Captain Marvel. I think he like pushed for her. So
Where were you born?
Huntsville, Alabama, but technically I don't remember that part.
Name of your first pet.
Mr. Snoofers.
Mr. Snoofers.
That's what I said. Did I pass?
Not yet. First job?
Soldier, straight out of high school. Left the ranks of full bird colonel.
Then?
Spy.
Where?
It was the Cold War. We were everywhere. Belfast, Bucharest, Belgrade, Budapest. I like the bees. I can make them rhyme.
Now?
Been riding the desk for the past 6 years, trying to figure out where our future enemies are coming from. Never occurred to me they would be coming from above.
Name a detail so bizarre a Skrull could never fabricate it.
A toast is cut diagonally. I can't eat it. You didn't need that, did you?
No, I didn't, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, your turn. Prove you're not a Skrull.
It is what it is, but you got all this stuff that doesn't make much sense. And it leads them to the secret base to try to investigate Project Pegasus. And
which had never been mentioned before, or as far as I know, since in the Marvel Universe. This has been the one of the few times where Pegasus has been mentioned, right? Or am I wrong?
No. It was mentioned in earlier. So, chronologically and how they released in theaters, they were mentioned earlier. Because Project Pegasus
in what films
I'm pretty sure it is discussed in Avengers, and then it's also discussed. I want to say it's Shield, but Shield referred to it almost as helicarriers. So they
the base where they have the Tesseract in Avengers is not the same place as this one, right? Okay.
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought I saw. Okay. Oh, the Rocky, the mountains. Okay, we're in the.
I did. So I will say this: when they drive up and like the way that the landscape is, I thought the base was cool.
Oh yeah.
Where you get in and it's got the all that stuff. Now the underground runway that you're gonna just fly out with all this stuff in there. No, how dangerous that would be to fly out of that thing. One little anything. And you're going to hit the wall or hit the ceiling or whatever. And then it's so cluttered in there. Also, just for those who haven't actually been around a jet engine before, if you light that thing up in an enclosed space, the amount of heat and air blowback that you will get, it would just flip a bunch of stuff in there. It would be a mess. So,
incinerated.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if it was close enough.
Yeah.
But when
you're
you
right.
Fighters out of an alert hangar and you don't open up the back blast doors because you didn't know how. Yeah, we had to. Yeah, it was crazy. We almost like knocked all the lights off the ceiling in that place. So so that was pretty far fetched. And then
I mean, again, this whole scene was pretty far fetched because even when they arrive, it's the whole you got Fury that's like, oh, I'm an agent, so he gets inside. And then he's like, oh, lose the flannel. You look ridiculous because she's got a flannel tied around her waist.
She did look ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, she did. But then he hands her a shield cap. And he's like, pretty much like, oh, that's better. She's still in a leather jacket and a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt, which for the 90s, I'm just like, it makes sense for the 90s, but not if you're supposed to be an agent coming to investigate something at the facility. Like,
definitely she didn't look like an agent with the flannel on.
No.
So.
But then she even plays they acknowledge the fact that she's wearing a shield cap and she's got the line with oh, is this how a secret organization keeps its secrets? They announce themselves on a cap for marketing. It's like you're acknowledging that this is a stupid idea, but you're doing it anyways because you think it's cute, and that annoys the hell out of me.
Right. Like they wouldn't have stopped somewhere and got her a change of clothes. You wouldn't have thought of that before they went in there. You know what I mean? Like it was only probably a 6-hour drive from wherever they were out to this place.
Oh yeah.
But I think it shows that they're look. Don't take this serious. I think it is. Don't take this seriously. Take this. This is a joke.
Yeah. Which I mean, yeah.
There is a Batman and Robin level of quality here where it's don't take this seriously.
True. Very true. But excuse me. What I will say is, part of what worked about this is, the whole reason Fury's here is to pretty much keep her occupied so he can get back up here to detain her. And to do, because he texts his boss, which has been Mendelsohn's character, to say like, hey, we're here at this place, send backup. And then he kind of gets himself detained with her from the people that are there to kind of seem like they're going along with it. So you have the whole welcome wagon conversation, and we need to break free. He's kind of playing along into this whole thing. So you can go research and find out, what we're missing. You have the whole tape thing, which I don't know, annoyed me, but maybe I'm just nitpicky.
I'm going to say real quick, Josh, this whole scene in the archives, it went on way too long. Way too long.
Well, and then you've got her looking at stuff, and when actually go ahead, Shield. What did you want to say?
I was just going to say he's not a very good spy if he couldn't see her standing on the ladder of an airplane in that picture. So I was just like, what's up with this? Or did he see her and he just didn't say anything? I don't know.
See, that would have been a good job to say for her to say to him, like, you're not a very good spy, are you? Or are you good at this or something?
Well, I mean, like even before this, when they're talking about their names and stuff. And she's like, well, what's your name? And he goes, Fury. And she's like, just Fury? He goes, yeah, Fury. Not Nick, not Nicholas, not Nick Fury, just Fury. A spy would never say that. Ever. Like,
but this is funny, what I go Josh. Aren't you
funny,
laughing?
Well, and it's clearly there to set up the
whole
thing.
Hysterical, Josh?
Yeah. It's there
there to set up when Mendelsohn calls him Nicholas in the elevator. Yeah.
Which, again, for me was just way too heavy-handed, way too revealing. I didn't like it, but it's a lot of stuff there where it's like you've got the whole shield cap, you've got the name thing, you've got the tape, you've got the Ben Mendelsohn calling him Nicholas. It's also blatantly obvious. Oh, this is also where we see Goose for the first time, and Nick turns into an 8th grade girl. Or Fury turns into an 8th grade girl being like, oh, aren't you so cute? And again, I just feel like it's completely out of character. So not a fan of this stuff.
So this is like, as soon as we get to the archives and after this is where my attention in this film was quickly waning. This is when I really started looking at my phone, looking at books on my bookshelf. Like I just ceased to maintain interest in this film. So I'm like, if this is where we're going, I want almost no part of this. I probably would have walked out at this point in the theater at that. Who knows?
But yeah, they do get information they're looking for. They find files miraculously on their first attempt. They just find the right aisle and the right file. To get information to kind of prove that she was there in the 90s or the 80s. They get Maria Rambeau's name and address, and then you get the altercation with S.H.I.E.L.D. That's not really S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just Skrulls pretending to be S.H.I.E.L.D. And there could have been a lot of fun and a lot of suspense with this, especially how they filmed it in that room where the lights come on as you move through certain areas. But they did not take full advantage of it. And also, when Fury walks down the aisle and then Ben Mendelsohn pulls the gun on him, it's another, like, if you go back and rewatch it, it's very blatantly clear that a light comes on from that side and he doesn't even bother to look that way. I don't know. I like spy stuff, and this is not it. But
no. They're honestly, Austin Powers is like it's like top level spy stuff compared to this. That's all I got to say. Jeez.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Shield, were you going to add something to this?
No. I was just going to mention that, obviously they got the Coulson scene. He sees him in the stairwell and he's like, somebody yells down there, hey, have you seen him? He's like, no. And he just lets him go on his gut feeling is what Fury says. and but it's more than that. It's because he's been working with Fury, and he sees Fury as a mentor and a leader, and he trusts Fury's instincts. It's not his own gut feeling necessarily,
Right.
But I guess might be, but it's based off of his interactions and knowledge and respect for Fury that he does that.
But the
but
problem
they try
is,
to make it seem like, well, you got to use your gut and just go
Yep.
with your emotions instead of, logic and stuff.
yeah. And had they taken the time to develop more of these supporting characters and do more with them, they could have shown some reasons for him to trust Fury to make this moment make sense, but it doesn't, and they just go with that follow your gut angle.
I also think that they're relying on people have seen the other movies with him in it. Like if you, I guess you could see this for the first time and not know who Coulson was, and just be like, he's just some dude. You know what I mean? But having seen him in Avengers and even in the end scene credit
Iron Man.
where in Iron Man,
Or the
where he
first
finds
Iron Man
him.
film. I mean,
Yeah.
I really think at some point or another, someone will have seen Phil Coulson in any type of project, whether it's Iron Man, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, or the Avengers film. You would have seen Phil show up at one point or another.
Or Thor. Yeah,
Or Thor.
But here's the thing: is there are a lot of people that have decided to watch this in timeline order. Like that's a big trend. And if you ask people how should you experience the MCU, a lot of people will say timeline order, meaning how it takes place in the universe, not when they were released. And this doesn't bode. If that's the case, this is your first time meeting Fury. This is your first time meeting Coulson. And you're not getting a good idea of who they are, because they did rely so heavily on, hey, you've had all these other films.
To me, this movie is not written in that sense. It's written in, you've already seen the other ones, and it's based off of them for their character development and who they are character-wise.
Can you imagine if they had taken the approach of this was almost as much of a Nick Fury film as it was a Carol Danvers film, and you were getting to see him as like a new like mid-level management in S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of getting to lead his own, I guess, mission in a way.
Well, he talks about it in this movie that he was a soldier, because you're like, where are you from? And he said, I'm from Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, or something.
Right.
Well, whatever. What was your first job? And he's like, I went into military, and then I was a full bird colonel, right? Which for most people that's a 20-year career, minimum.
Yep.
I mean, you could be a little faster than that, maybe do.
But no, you're right, Shield. Yeah, it takes a good. Whoever our experience, it takes at least 20 years.
20 years, right, to be a full bird colonel. Then he goes and be a spy, and then he said, and I don't know how long he did that, and then he's riding a desk for 6 years. So how old is this guy? You know what I mean? He's got to be like 50.
Hey, black doesn't crack. Okay, come on.
I'm just saying. So maybe he is in his 50s, right, by this point, but. Would he be running around in the field like with one agent, kind of out there on his own? No, that's low level stuff. So whenever people do that kind of stuff and they're like, like I have 4 PhDs and I did this and this and this, and a person's like 25, you're like, that's impopossible, dude.
You know what I mean? Doogie Howser?
Yeah, exactly. Even Doogie Howser, you know how long it takes to get a PhD? You can't, unless you're going to work them concurrently, which I don't even know who could do. What do you have time for that?
I mean, honestly, really, Sheila, the only way I could see him earning colonel that early in his career would have been like if he had done multiple war campaigns and like had like multiple recorded sessions of like saving lives, confirmed enemy kills, and that would have been multiple tours overseas. But that's never established.
I think the authors don't understand is when you become a colonel, you're not running around in the field doing stuff.
True. Yeah.
You're in a leadership position. You're not like if you're a pilot, you're not flying anymore really. Maybe once a month to keep your currency or something, but unless you're part of like a special project or anyway, we're kind of getting the weeds on this, but the point is that he's done a lot of stuff already that would give him a skill set way far above and beyond what he's displaying here.
100%. And he's only level 3. He's only level 3 in S.H.I.E.L.D., so he's not that high But I guess what I'm saying is, can you imagine how different and potentially better the story would have been if it had almost taken like an X-Men, since we just watched it, X-Men First Class stance, where you had, you know how you had Xavier and Magneto, and they each had their own independent stories, and then it was kind of involved in the plot. If you had that with Carol Danvers and Fury, and their worlds came crashing together. If you've got him, he's moving up in ranks as a spy. He's kind of gotten promotions. He's leading his own investigations, all this stuff. And then you've got her that's coming to Earth. And now you've got the Skrulls coming in, realizing S.H.I.E.L.D. has answers. We're infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. She's trying to stop Skrulls. He's discovering, oh, we've got these aliens that can look like people infiltrating a secret, like a spy agency. Like, if you had gone from that angle,
Josh, to kind of piggyback off what you just said, like I really think if they had gone with the approach with Fury as like almost like a General Thunderbolt Ross earlier in script, like really bringing the heat. You know, granted, it's less than Fury, but bringing the Fury. He's bringing like the Vincent from Pulp Fiction to this film. This heat to Carol upon meeting her, but slowly throughout the film, he's learning to trust her, and he's easing back. And you see him kind of becoming the stoic Fury we see later in the film series. That's great. I would think this character development, that's growth right there. But I just see as character regression, honestly, more than anything else.
And look, I know these are very minor things overall. I know these are nitpicks, but it's like
that's the problem with this film. We said it earlier: death by 1,000 paper cuts.
I look back at stuff like Captain America: The First Avenger. You know, when they're first going to the underground base and they walk through that antique shop, and you've got the old lady, and she goes, "Lovely weather today, isn't it?" And then Peggy goes, "Yes, but I always carry an umbrella." That's like their code to communicate. You don't have anything like that going on, and we're in pretty much a base that's a shield, like it's a spy base. So it's just little bitty things that
easy access. They had to have a simple webcam and everything. It's like, okay, yep, get right in. There you go.
Yeah. But anyways, they get the information they need. They hop on a Quinjet, which, you know, hey to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They actually use Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. interior sets for the Quinjet. So, but they go to fly and meet Maria Rambeau. Also, side note, this is the first time in the film that we see Ronan, who's completely wasted. You know, because he's ready to just completely blow up Earth, and Valrog is trying to persuade him not to because they're trying to get Veers. But yeah, I guess the big point is we get to Maria Rambeau's place, and I feel like this is the first part in the film where I really get a sense of humanity from these characters. And it's the first time we really get to see humanity from Carol, from Bree's character. And we're literally halfway into the film by this point. And for me, it's the first time that we got to see real human emotions. And I just kind of feel like it happened way too late.
I think it's because they were trying to show that she had been kind of like mind wiped and affected by the Supreme Intelligence, and seeing the photos and visiting with Monica Rambeau's kid, and Monica Rambeau kind of jogged those memories back and kind of brought her back to herself. But you know, it had the whole, you know, oh, it's Monica Rambeau, she can do anything and make stuff, and her kid's going to be president, and you know, that kind of stuff. It was just
her kid's going to be president.
Yeah, you know,
I
she
understand
can do anything she wants, and
right. I understand.
It was all too easy. It was all too convenient and easy. Honestly, it was all too pleasant. There was no emotional weight there, in my opinion.
I understand what they were doing and like what they were trying to do. My problem is we've spent half the movie now with a character that we can't really relate to. And we do, instead of not knowing anything, instead of kind of being on this journey with her as a you know, her desperately trying to figure out, who are these people that I see in dreams? Why do they matter to me? We're already kind of getting, like, we got force-fed some answers in that very first, you know, scene early on where the Skrulls are digging through her mind. It just made her, for me, it made Carol's character a hard character to connect with or relate with. just because of how they approached it. And I think they could have done it other ways that would have made it more impactful. But I liked this scene because I liked the conversation that these two had. After they first see each other and they go inside and they're talking, and Monica, the daughter, Maria's daughter, goes upstairs to get Carol's box of stuff, and she kind of like tells Fury, "Hey, take a hike so we can talk." There's a really good conversation here, and yeah, I think there's like leanings to where like, okay, these two are a little lesbianic, but I think
100%.
Oh yeah, but outside of that, in general, like you get the sense these are two people that cared for each other, and I thought, gosh, what's the actress's name that plays Maria? Oh shoot, Lashana Lynch. I thought she did a really, really good job with very little to work with, because she made a point to like, I don't have a ton of lines and I don't have anything super, super, super deep to say. So I'm gonna hit the emotion on this of just how much this meant that someone that I viewed as my sister, as family, as a loved one, was just suddenly gone. And they were telling me that you were dead, but they couldn't tell me anything else. And it just didn't add up and it didn't make sense, but you were gone. And that's all we knew, is that you were gone and you weren't coming back. I thought that was a really good moment. And it's, aside from like the battle or the rescue scene early in the film, this is probably my favorite acting scene. I don't perfect, but it was the one time in the movie that I actually felt something for the characters.
I kind of got the impression it would have been a little more shock from them. Like, holy crap, you're alive.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
And
also,
that initial, yeah.
This portion of the movie had the one of only 2 times I thought there was something funny in the movie, when they were loading the black box disc up.
Oh, yep.
And it's loading, and then Carol's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And they're like, "It's loading."
It's loading.
And, I mean, you had to have lived back then to kind of get that, like how slow stuff would load office stuff. And so it's a recording of the black box transmissions, and that's when they get the information. Oh, we were shot down and all this kind of stuff. And Monica is able to tell Carol like what happened. Dr. what's her name? Marvell.
Shoot.
She's the
Marvell.
Kree. Yeah, she wanted to take the ship out to this experimental ship with this experimental engine power thing out. I do have a question about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Tesseract is in the first Avengers, goes into the ice, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Howard Stark finds it.
Correct.
Where does it go from there? A shield bunker somewhere, right?
Yeah. So what
And
you
then
don't
so-
get in, I was
so
gonna say
she-
what you don't get in the films is that Howard ends up founding Shield. So there is a little bit of a
No, I got that part.
Okay,
But
yeah.
what I'm saying is they found Shield, but so they give Marvell this Tesseract to use. That's as part of the project, Pegasus project,
I
right?
mean, yeah.
That's how she has access to it, because she's using it as the power source for her engine on her secret spaceship.
She
up
got
in
it for
space.
reasons. It's never
Yeah,
clear.
so but it's never explained at all how she got it.
No,
and
it's
so what
not.
it makes it seem like is that she's the like source of the thing, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And there's a through line of that where everything about the Avengers started here, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how it was in the comics. I doubt it.
No, it's not even close.
Yeah,
Not even
and
close.
so they kind of wanted to use this movie and use her and be like, look, everybody, it was Captain Marvel, a woman who's powerful, was the starter of the whole thing. And
She
you're
was
just
really the first Avenger.
right, exactly. And
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, but why doesn't it feel like she earned it? You know why she didn't earn it? Because she doesn't interact with the Avengers in any damn way.
Yep.
at all. She doesn't have anything to do with these guys except show up for a few minutes here and there and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I've been busy on other planets. Well, you guys have been busy here on Earth, you know, having to fight this one fight. I've been out here taking care of all these different planets and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine, but we don't see any of it. We don't hear about any of it. It's not impacting anything that's happening on Earth." So her character kind of sucks. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't get to interact with anybody. I wanted to see her interact with Thor and they like have a banter, or her interact with Captain America because they're both actual captains in the military, right? And they could have bonded over that. She could have had all these moments where she's helping them out and she's doing things and saving people. How many people does she save in any of these movies? Like burning babies or buildings collapsing or anything like that. You know what I mean? She doesn't do any.
Hey. At least she didn't put a baby in a microwave, okay?
Right. But she but she doesn't do any of this stuff. So she's just a powerful person flying around through ship breaking, and her shtick is she flies through spaceships. But
Yeah.
there's nothing that I see that's heroic about her. She doesn't make any sacrifices. Now, you could say in this movie she kind of finds herself, which is fine, but she's not utilized to any real effect in any other movie or product or anything. And that's where I think that they really did this character dirty, where she could have been a better character if they would have put her in more stuff and showed her do more things and interact with people, and not just Monica Rambeau and Fury. I'm talking like the Avengers, because if she's the progenitor of the whole thing, she doesn't have anything to do with it other than the name.
Well, and it's like they've made her so powerful that they use that as a reason why they don't use her, and then they're like, oh, and then to kind of give them more excuse, she's got stuff she's doing out in space.
Right. Which is okay. Yeah. Well, then maybe show some of that stuff. Well, they tried to do that with the newer Marvel movie, but
and it also wasn't executed well.
Yeah. And again, they did her character dirty because they put her in that crap movie. They did all those characters dirty.
Yeah.
That movie was crap, and Miss Marvel deserved better. What is it, Binary or whoever that is, that winds up being in her. I didn't even really know who that character was.
That was Carol. Carol became Binary in the comics, in the X-Men comics.
We're talking about Photon, I think, Monica's character.
Right. She could have. Like you said,
another Carol name in the comics as well.
Yeah.
So they could have done more with that, but the movie was garbage. And so anyway, that's my biggest thing with this movie is she's not really heroic. Like, you could say she is. She's fighting against the Kree and all this, but does she save anybody? I guess she saved the planet from the accuser missiles or whatever, but there's no she's not humanized by doing. She saves the Skrull in the ship, but it's not. I don't know.
Well, this is the point in the film, because we talked about them getting the black box, but this is also when we learn that the Skrulls aren't bad guys; they're actually the good guys, and you get into that whole thing that Drew was kind of talking about earlier. But Talos kind of reveals everything, and kind of they lay their cards on the table, and this was also a moment where I hated this movie because of that, and I was like, ugh, why? But yeah.
And then he showed up in like this weird alien suit, but he had like an Armani jacket on. I was like, what's he wearing?
Then drinking a milkshake. Like,
it was, I don't know. I guess if you're going to show up and reveal yourself, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I'm not a cat person, but I did chuckle when he was like reacting like terrified of the cat and being like, that's a flurkin. And everyone's like, it's a freaking cat, man.
Yeah, the only other funny part in the movie besides the disc downloading thing is when they put that mask on the cat. I don't know. They were like, this is dangerous.
I will say I laughed the first time the Flurkin's like tentacles came out and it ate whatever it ate.
I thought that looked so bad. It looked terrible.
It didn't look great, but if you're not familiar with it, it was a nice, like, if you're not expecting it, it's a funny moment. They did that moment much better in the Marvels with Iman Vellani, where she like screams, "What is that?" or whatever it was. But it's like the one good thing from that film. But anyways, they get this information, and then they finally get the coordinates. This whole movie, they're trying to figure out what these coordinates are that was on the ship when it went
And the
down.
Skrull, they're space traveling species. First off, why do they need a faster than light engine? Can't they use that jump stuff where they jump through the hexagons or whatever?
Okay.
And then secondly, how these guys are like spacefaring super techgo guys with mind probes. They couldn't figure out that that's a space coordinate. I mean, they do bring it up, and the science guy's like, I guess I messed up.
Yeah. But this is again where, like, you know, it's like, aren't we cute? Like, isn't this funny? But yeah, it's where they didn't work the story well, because it doesn't make sense. The fact that they're trying to build this hyperspace engine or battery for a hyperspace engine or whatever the hell it is, when you've already got tech that's letting you like jump.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're like 3 or 4 different technologies already existing that allow you to. You got the Bifrost. There's like all kinds of things you can use to get around. That's why I didn't really a faster than light engine. Literally, those guys jumped here in a spaceship.
Yeah,
and also,
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I guess in the end, they wind up using the secret lab as their getaway ship. So but
they get the coordinates. They go to the secret lab. You find out there's a whole like family of Skrulls living up there that I guess have just been living without anyone helping or assisting them for 6 years. So don't tell me how they survived, because it makes no sense.
Maybe the ship
it's not
has
important right now.
Kree replicators or something on it.
I mean,
and they got a pinball machine with a high score.
They never lost power. They never went anywhere to get more fuel or power. They apparently had food somehow for it's all the stuff that just doesn't add up.
And then Fury did have a point that if you'd been up there for 6 years playing the same pinball machine, you'd have the high score too.
Yeah. Well,
or somebody said that anyway.
But this does lead to setting up the final act and the final battle of the Kree show up. We now know that they're actually the bad guys, and you have like a little bit of an altercation, and then people getting put in custody, and then they get break free, and you know it's all this stuff kind of leading up to like the theme that's been here of kind of what Drew's loved about this movie. You need to restraining your emotions is bad. Let it go. Just be a complete imbecile and, be emotional and let everything out.
Be an immature 4-year-old brat. Yes, there you go.
Because we get this scene with Carol in the Supreme Intelligence, and she's kind of, breaking free. And there's a point where I think Nirvana kicks on at this point too. And then
she's playing. Okay, so they capture her and they put her in this little like hexagon thing, and all these like weird tendrils come up, which is how the Supreme Intelligence AI communicates with whoever's there. Stand on this pad, and or in her case Neil, and it connects to you, and you go in this world. So she's in there with Marvel. God, what's her?
Annette Bening.
No, Annette Bening, but what's her character's name? That's not the Marvel is her Kree name.
Oh, just the doctor scientist lady.
Yeah. So she's in there, and that's who the AI manifests as whenever she's in that world or whatever, that simulation. But she's playing Nirvana in the background. If she got aced out in '89, she wouldn't know what the hell Nirvana was. Because that song didn't come out in '89. It came out after that. So how would Carol Danvers know what it is? Unless why would the Supreme Intelligence be playing it? It was just a choice. So they're playing that in the background, and she's like, oh, you have to submit and do all this stuff. And she's like, she goes through her mind, and every time you look at how many times you failed, but then she says, no, I need to act like a human and not a Kree, and it shows her getting up from everything when she was a kid, and her dad told her no, and the guys told her no, and everyone told her no, and she can get up, and she's like, no, I don't have to conform to what you're saying now, and you don't control me.
Without us, you're only human.
You're right. I'm only human.
she has like this mind battle with it, and that's when she takes the little neck piece thing off, figures out what
Right.
it does, and like throws it on the ground, and then she just blasts it with her power blast, and the light engulfs her entire body, because before it was just her hands could glow, and so now her whole body glows. She's reached her full potential because she, has decided to not suppress her emotions or whatever. And I mean, there's a precedent for that, like with the Hulk and stuff, but it just isn't really.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she defeats the AI thing in the simulation, and then she busts out and starts beating the crap out of everybody.
Yeah.
To escape.
And that's pretty much the rest of the film is she just beats the crap out of everybody. What were you gonna say, Drew?
No, I was just gonna say the Hulk. That's a whole other topic.
Oh yeah,
conversation for another time.
Yeah, I will say this is the point where it goes very like for me, Mary Sue, because she gets these powers that, as far as she can remember, she's never fully utilized, but she's just utilizing them perfectly. So she's ripping the Starfleet to shreds. She's like destroying them. They're escaping. She gets down to Earth. You have Ronan and the Accuser show up to destroy Earth, and she just like blows their missiles apart, destroys one of their ships, and then Ronan is like, "Oh nope, we're out of here." I don't know. I think part of the reason that pisses me off is between Guardians and this, they wasted Ronan as a character for me.
Absolutely.
But not only that, they wasted Lee Pace. Lee Pace is a freaking incredible actor that they could have just had anyone play that role and it would have been fine. But I don't know. It's just like Coulson, like Jaimin Hansu's character, they were just there to be there to get the thumbs up. And isn't this cool? We have this great cameo here.
Yeah, he always gets underutilized. Jaimin Hansu?
Oh, Jaimin Hansu, yeah.
Yeah. He's always like barely in anything for but a few moments,
Yeah.
I just realized something with the character Ronan the Accuser in this film. It's like he is like the precursor to Kang. Now, when I say that, it's like you have this allegedly villainous ultimate bad guy, but the times we've seen him, he loses both times. We've never seen him really truly be the ultimate badass, just like with Kang. With Kang, we saw him lose every time. It's like doesn't really work to be for him as this menacing figure if you have him losing every damn time.
Yep.
Right.
And
I can't wait till they give Dr. Doom that treatment.
I am gonna go. I'm gonna go biblical.
I'm like cracking my neck because I'm getting ready to fight.
Yes.
No, I was gonna say, like, Ronan to a degree should be able to hold his own against Thanos for a little while, like especially Thanos without the gauntlet. Like he should be able to kind of hold his own for a little bit, and then we'll probably lose towards the end. It would have been nice to see him like throw blows with Carol in this, like just
absolutely
get his hammer. He doesn't have the Power Stone, I get it, but like kind of at least get some blows in, not be like uh-oh. And then let's jump because she's
yeah. They basically bitched him out, is what they did.
Yeah, and it's like you had a few moments in Guardians that set him up as being a threat, but then you killed him with the dance battle, which I don't know. For me, it's just disappointing. But this whole third act for me just kind of was like paint by numbers, as expected. We do get the whole like Top Gun. We're flying through the canyon scene, which was kind of fun.
Why would an experimental plane be armed? That's what I don't get.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same with the ship they used to get up to the other ship with the Quinjet. Why does that have World War II machine guns in the wings?
How is it work? How is nothing? So how is it working perfectly?
In space,
right. Yes. How is it working perfectly? How is everything fine? How is nothing malfunctioning on this thing? No, never mind.
But the little Skrull science guy hooked it up, even though he couldn't figure out the coordinates to space.
Right. But also, how is the this space like alien tech fighter jet not able to keep up with this other ship that Maria's flying? Like
Oh, the one that Minerva was in?
Yeah, like I feel like Minerva's ship
Yeah.
is like should.
I don't
should
know.
just
Maybe it
look-
was like some kind of little like escape pod ship or something. I don't know. It
maybe.
and then the thing that what's his name gets in Jude Law. That thing didn't look that sturdy either.
No.
Yeah. No.
But
That looked like a straight up escape pod. Right
yeah,
there.
it did. It looked like a straight up escape pod. And so he's flying down to the planet, and then she has her memories of how she got her powers. That her
Mhm.
plane got shot down. It wasn't an accident. She crash lands. That thing rolls. They would have been dead as shit for sure. Unless it had like a force field around it. And then they all get out and they're like, oh, everything's cool. And she's like, oh, are you okay? And she's like, I got to destroy the core. And then that guy makes some kind of pistol shot from behind cover through the smoke. Like, you don't even see who did it. And kills Marvel. And so then Carol has to hold her gun up to him. And then he's like, we don't want to hurt you. Just give us the core, the engine core thing, and we'll be gone. She's like, this core, and she shoots it. And it blows up and gives her powers.
Yep.
I suppose that is as plausible as a radioactive spider, but I don't know. It just didn't seem as as cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But so since she's infused with the power, they want to take her back to the Kree and like I don't know what, siphon it off of her or something. So
or maybe figure out how she got it so they could make their own warriors from Drew. For the sake of people that don't know, how does Carol get her abilities in the comics?
To be honest with you, it's never really clear because like even myself, I'm like, wait a minute, how the hell did she get her powers? Because her powers have changed. She's gotten them from like there was like an explosion in a science lab. There was the Brood gave her powers in an issue of the X-Men.
Oh, the Brood are like the alien guys that put the alien inside you and it pops out.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, that's very correct.
That was a good run. I remember reading that a little bit back in the 80s.
That was one of my first one of my first comics I ever read was the Saga of the Brood, and that was when Carol became binary at that point because she was experimented on by the Brood. She got new powers, and then she got powers again after. It's her, like I said, her power set, her origins. It's a convoluted mess.
Didn't somebody steal her powers?
Yes, Rogue did. Yeah. So
Rogue
stole her powers, which led to her eventually trying to kill herself on the Golden Gate Bridge and Spider-Woman saving her. If you never read it, check it out. It's one of the greatest Avengers issues ever. Michael Golden did the art, written by Chris Claremont. It's Avengers Annual number 10, I believe. It is a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic issue. And
look at that. It's got what, Spider-Woman in it?
Yep, Spider-Woman. Yeah.
I mean, why don't they do that movie?
Oh yeah, well, I don't think they could because I think technically Sony had the rights to Spider-Woman.
Okay. Well, that would have been cool.
Yeah, but yeah, we get that final conflict between Carol and Jude, and he tries to pull the same thing we see him do in the beginning of the film, where he's like, "Don't use your powers, just fight me." Da da da.
I'm so proud of you. You've come a long way since I found you that day by the lake. But can you keep your emotions in check long enough to take me on? Or will they get the better of you as always? I always told you, you'll be ready the day you can knock me down as yourself. This is that moment. This is that moment, Beers. Turn off the light show and prove to me you can beat me without...
I have nothing to prove to you.
destination. Holla.
I can't go back empty-handed.
You won't be empty-handed. I'm sending you with a message. Tell the Supreme Intelligence that I'm coming to end it. The war, the lies, all of it.
You can't do this.
And the director said they originally had, and again, like, just going there. They said they originally had a choreographed fight scene that was just a hand-to-hand fight scene without her using her powers.
That's how it should have been.
And her beating him, and then we're like, but why would she do that when she can just blast him? Also, that's funnier.
God damn it.
Oh, I thought it was more of, well, I don't have to do what you say anymore. I can't remember what she said. I don't have to prove myself to you, which again was,
that was part of it. I mean, they commented on that, and that's why they wrote the line. But I just did. At some point, you've got to stop and think, what's going to be more entertaining? And even if she doesn't feel like she has to prove it to herself, even if she proves it to him, of hey, I can beat you without using my powers.
That should have been the lesson there that they don't understand, is that is how her character grows. I don't have to use my powers to beat you. And I whipped your ass, and now look at you. You're a little bitch laying on the ground.
A film that did it better, I automatically thought about it. Lethal Weapon. The very end of that film, you had Gary Busey and Mel Riggs going at it in the front lawn. Like, would take a shot at the title. I'm like, fuck yes, this is awesome. Yeah, it's like they're just going at it. Like, kind of like let them go at it. Let them go. Granted, it would never ever happen in real life,
right?
But it was still enjoyable as shit because they were just going at it as equals,
right? And I think that would have been way more impactful for her to beat him without using her powers, right?
Absolutely.
And then to prove to herself that it's something that she could do, that she was better than him, and that all these things. But instead, she just blasts him and drags him and throws him in a ship and says, "I'm going to come destroy the Supreme Intelligence." Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I just think a fight there would have been better.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I would have
agreed.
I mean, even to the point where maybe he's like starting to beat her and then she has to use her powers. I don't know. But whatever, that's the route they chose to take. And it got the movie over quicker, so I guess it worked out in the end.
You know what? You're right. Because the only thing that's yet to happen that's noteworthy, or maybe not noteworthy, which we talked about at the very beginning of the stream, was Nicholas Fury losing his eye because Goose scratches it out.
To a stupid cat thing. Well, it's technically a flirkin, but which ate the Tesseract, by the way, and it's still just sitting in its stomach. Oh, and I think it ate a bunch of Kree guys too.
It did. It did. It ate a whole, I think 4 or 5 of them.
Right.
But yeah, so the directors directly commented on this, stating that they had a lot of ideas and concepts floating around of how they knew that this was going to reveal how Fury lost his eye, and they had ideas floating around for how they wanted to do it. And even the line that Coulson has in the post-credit scene where he's like, "Is it true that you lost your eye trying to save the Skrulls from the Kree warriors and you got your eye burned out?" That was going to be one of the potential ways that he actually lost his eye.
That would have been so much cooler.
Yes.
A real sacrifice to this stupid cat shit.
Instead, they said, the moment we knew we were for sure getting Goose and going to have Flurkins, we knew that the funniest way he could lose his eye would be for it to get scratched out.
It's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be heroic and badass.
Yeah.
And it's like it'd be a sacrifice and a worthy heroic thing that he did, some kind of deed,
But then they go on to acknowledge that we know we can't let the character ever admit this is how he lost his eye because it's so stupid. Quote their words. God. And I'm like, you're admitting that this is a stupid idea, but you're doing it anyway. Like,
because it's funny.
An over almost 60-year-old character now and did that to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
that'd be akin to taking their favorite female character and making her pole dance in front of like a bunch of hillbillies or something.
Yeah, Shield, you bring up a great point. Do you honestly, I mean, do you really think like the directors of this film would have done that? You know, something degrading to a female character in this? Absolutely fucking not.
Exactly. But they need to understand that is the same thing. And I'm like, oh, you guys are just a bunch of chuds and toxic males. It's like, no, that's an important character. Look how far back that character goes. And that's what you did to take away the eye. It's terrible. There's no respect for the character.
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
This was the beginning of the regression for the character of Nick Fury.
Right. Yep. Exactly. This right here, and everyone's like, oh well, now we see it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was not. It was
and
not
like I was
good
saying
for him.
before we started the recording, is that I didn't have a problem with them changing Nick Fury from a traditional like white guy to Samuel L. Jackson because he's such a good actor, and they didn't make a big deal about it. They were just like, "This is Nick Fury." There was no stuff in the news and making a big deal out of it or anything. It's just, this is Nick Fury. This is our guy. Well acted. Tough, intelligent, competent, confident, you know, like he knew what he was talking about. And then he gets his eye scratched out by a freaking cat. I'm sorry, a flurkin.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, so funny. And what makes it worse is you have that line in Winter Soldier where they reference how he lost his eye, and they make it out like it's going to be such this epic thing when you finally find out. And
when they made the movie, I bet they thought it was going to be an epic thing.
Oh yeah, Someone should ask the Russo brothers how they feel about this. Because
somebody in Marvel Studio high up should have put the kibosh on that big time.
Yeah.
No, because it's funny. We want, that's funny. People like funny.
Yeah, other than this, we get to see Nick and Carol washing dishes, and then she gives him the pager, and then she's never to be seen again for the next like 30-something years because she's important. But she does inspire him to name the Avengers the Avengers.
Well, that's because her call sign when she was in
Avenger
was the Carol Avenger Danvers. And here's the thing about call signs in the military. You don't pick your own. It's given to you by your peers. And usually it's for something messed up about your personality or something messed up you did one night you were out drinking or something you did in training or something like that. Sometimes it'll be cool. It might like rhyme with your last name or something, you know.
Yeah. For example, when I was at the ground combat training school, my call sign was sleeves because technically you were not allowed to roll up your sleeves at the school, but I would conveniently always roll up my sleeves because it would get flipping hot down in Florida. So my call sign was sleeves. We had another guy, we had a captain, his call sign was Tupac because he had a tattoo, because he had a tattoo going across his chest, or like his abdomen. So we called him Tupac.
Was he white? Please tell me he was white.
Yeah, he was white. Yes.
Wow. An officer with a tattoo, that's pretty rare even these days.
Oh, sheesh.
Now, if he was prior enlisted or something, that would make more sense. But
not sure.
I want to go ahead and start wrapping up so we can get past this film and forget it exists. But I guess we'll do what we normally do. Let's give our closing thoughts of what we thought of the film, maybe what we thought would have made it better overall, and then if you were to give this film a score, what would you score it out of 10? Just remember that on our ranking scale, 1 is the worst it can be, 10 is best the best, and a 5 means it's average. So 5 is blatantly middle of the road. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just average. But Drew, since this was your first time experiencing this, what were your thoughts on the movie?
Well, like you said, this was my first time seeing this, and it was not an enjoyable experience. Like I said, the one good part to me, honestly, was Jude Law. Jude Law was amazing in this. The scenes he was in, we should have had more of Jude Law. And what I had proposed as a story idea at the beginning of this film, I would have been in love with this film if he was the true hero. If he was Marvel, and we had him body swapping with Rick Jones on Earth, would have been amazing. but we didn't get that. We got a mess, and it was death by 1,000 paper cuts. The jokes didn't work. They were relying upon too much humor. They really nerfed Nick Fury, really made Carol Danvers an unlikable character. Really trying to make this fit into the Marvel Universe and the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It really, in my opinion, they're trying to wedge it in there, like a square peg into a round hole, and it didn't work. It doesn't work that well. So with it being not that enjoyable and all those factors I just said, I got to give this a 3, honestly. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. It's not average, but would I watch this again? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Shield, what about you? What are your final thoughts and what score would you give this?
So I think that so the movie had actors and actresses that are good. They can do acting. Just I don't know if they were cast correctly for these roles, for some of them. I mean, obviously Samuel L. Jackson, but it did great. Jude Law, I think Mendelsohn did fine. I liked how he portrayed his character for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story was kind of, I don't know. It really wasn't that good, I guess. And what really brings the movie down for me is they're trying to do funny stuff with Captain Marvel, and it's just not hitting. I think she needed to either play it more straight, you know what I mean? And then Fury always kind of had like this kind of joking banter kind of stuff, so I was always good with that. And but I think there could have been a little more extrapolation on the Kree. Like you were saying, Ronan was way underutilized. Basically, just brought him in to punk him, to make him run away. He wasn't really a threat at all, you know. The whole the Skrull living on the ship, kind of out of nowhere. Oh, it's like it was a cloaked ship. Oh, so anyway, how she got her powers is kind of a little weird too, but I guess I'm all right with that. But overall, the problem that I have with this movie is that it was set up to be that you had to see it to see Endgame, and that's not true. And then they didn't even really utilize her. They set up this character, and they did nothing else with her. Oh, you can say, well, she came back and she fought Thanos, but I'm talking character-wise. They didn't do anything with her. They didn't have her interact with anybody else. So you kind of forgot about her. She's just off on some planet somewhere and just shows up real quick. Now they do that in DC with Superman. Because he's so powerful, you got to bring him in at the end. But he's a way more charismatic character that interacts with people, has a history of saving people. You really don't know anything about Captain Marvel before you see this movie, right? So like I said, no saving burning babies or anything like that. And so she's just kind of there. And I get that, she has this high power level and she flies through ships and stuff, but you really don't see her do anything else. So, and then of course what they did to Fury with the eye really brings it down for me. Should have had more Coulson in it, more Jude Law, I think, but overall, the first time I saw this movie, I thought it was a 3. After seeing it today, I'll bump it up to a 4, just because I looked at the choreography for some of the fights and the CGI. Maybe I'm being generous because the movies these days are so terrible as far as their CGI go, but I didn't really have a huge problem with the CGI in this. But would I watch it again? I don't know, maybe not for another 5-6 years, unless I had to.
Yeah.
So, hopefully Marvel has learned some lessons from these abject failures that they've been putting out, and they can somehow recapture the end game, the Infinity War. Actually, what I'd like to see is a Winter Soldier kind of rebirth, quality movie, because that was I think most people agree that's probably the best Marvel movie out there is Winter Soldier. I liked Avengers. I thought it was good. As far as like a story and stuff. But anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I know I came into this saying like, oh, the movie's not as bad as people were saying it was, and it's fine. But I will say I had a score that I was gonna give it, and after kind of talking through this points and getting irritated with so many different elements, I'm gonna bring this in at about I would say probably a 4 as well. It doesn't do anything well, aside from the Nick Fury eye thing, it doesn't do anything that's egregiously just god awful and terrible. It's just a lot of just a ton of little bitty things. I think the script was half baked. They needed more time kind of polishing out the story or getting a writer on board that is good with stories and understanding the characters and could have done a better job. It makes me wonder what Joss Whedon's plan for Carol Danvers would have been, because his plan was to introduce her in Avengers Age of Ultron. And I feel like he would have actually had a plan for her moving forward and why they potentially didn't use some of those elements. But I mean, there's so just when I look at this movie, there's so many things that I would have changed. Like I would have had Carol Danvers actually feel like a soldier, and I think it would have given her more of an identity. I would have made Nick Fury feel more like a spy. I would have leaned into both of those characters more and had those two be the leads, and then have kind of Jude Law there as well, kind of as this mentor turned, terrible human being. I would have had the Skrulls just be evil and then learn that, hey, the Kree aren't exactly what we thought they were. And you could have done stuff like you could have had Ronan invading other planets and just wiping them out for no reason. Or finding Skrulls on other planets and wiping out that planet, knowing there are other innocent lives there. And you could have done stuff like that to show actually the Kree are just as bad too. Like there's two evil alien races here. And you could have had a really good, compelling story that potentially would have led to something, and maybe set up some stuff like, I don't know, the secret invasion storyline that they chose not to do as an Avengers film because they're a bunch of retards. But we didn't do any of that, and we're left with this. And I just think it's a poorly written, poorly directed film, and unfortunately has a lot of good actors that tried to do whatever they could to save it, but there was no saving this thing. So. No bueno. Any final words?
I think that they should find somebody that really knows comics, like forward and backwards, that is reputable. You know what I mean? Has a good track record or whatever, and they show these scripts to them and say, "What do you think?"
Yep.
And there needs to be somebody in a room that says, "That's a dumb idea." I mean, how many meetings do these people probably go to where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, boss. Yeah, that's awesome." Or, and somebody just needs to be, no, that's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah,
do
they
that.
need, yeah, that's what, real quick, that's what the Superman franchise had. Tom Mankiewicz, he was the guy, kind of like the script supervisor or whatever, the story supervisor for Warner Brothers in the Superman films. He was the one who advised Christopher Reeve not to do taking the nuclear weapons and tossing them in the sun. He told him, no, do not do that. But did Christopher Reeve listen? No, he didn't. But yeah, there's always like, there should be that one person, that guardian overseeing everything, saying like, no, you don't do this. But that guy doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
or maybe they do and they just don't listen to him. But
well, I mean, we had back in the day, there was the Marvel committee, and there were pros and cons with that. But I think, sometimes you find your best storytelling comes in a happy medium. And there are definitely some benefits of having that Marvel committee to make sure, for the most part, they are staying true to these characters.
Also something so in the intro to it, how they show the Marvel logo, and usually it's like, Iron Man, Captain America, whatever.
Oh yeah.
This was all Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Because isn't this his last movie?
It's the last, yeah. He filmed, this was the last thing he filmed, and then he died before it came out. So
right. So this is that was the other gut punch. So like,
yeah,
this is the movie that he's in. I mean, well, at least it wasn't Black Widow, but
True.
I mean, it would have been nice actually for it to be Black Widow because he would have lived longer. But anyway.
I don't know. Is this better than this is? Look, we're eventually going to get to a point where we rank the films, but we're going to kind of do it in phases and waves.
I honestly think this is better than Black Widow because at least Carol Danvers doesn't smash her face into a desk.
Yeah, at least there aren't any uterus rip out jokes in this.
Right.
Film.
Or what's obviously a dude in a suit that takes off a helmet and it's a horrible CGI woman's bed on her. That's what I'm waiting for Doctor Doom actually.
Yeah, you know what? We've got a ways to go before we get to Black Widow, but when we do, we'll have
that's the other thing
plenty
is
to talk about.
Yeah, just her movie should have been before this.
Oh yeah,
and she deserved her own movie, and they totally screwed the pooch on that one.
Well, and that's where it comes in saying that Marvel committee is not always the best because Ike Perlmutter is the reason we didn't get a Black Widow movie. And you know, it's just weird stuff. Like they protected the characters in so many ways, but then, you know, they wouldn't let them go all in on doing the Demon in a Bottle with Iron Man for Iron Man 2. They didn't want Iron Man in Civil War. Like it's just
what?
Yeah,
personally, I didn't like Civil War either. Anyway,
what?
The premise of why they were fighting each other.
What's funny about that, Shield, is if you really think about it, look closely, the Civil War script and the BVS script are very eerily similar, except that Civil War did it much better.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, they even said the only reason they did Civil War was because BVS got announced. So anyway, that is going to be all for tonight. Thank you for coming in and watching. It was our first negative film, but we got it out of the way. It's out of the way. We don't have to think about it moving forward. Let us know what your thoughts on Captain Marvel were in the bottom. What would you have done differently? What did you like? What did you dislike? I'm assuming that list is going to be quite long. And then we'll be back next month with another Marvelous Monday. And for next month, we're going back to the X-Men to watch X-Men, the original X-Men from Bryan Singer from 2000. So see you there and have a good night.